Everybody comfortable? Peace like a river. So, you have the power to say, "Peace, be still," then the waters of your life will subside at your will. Terrific lyrics. You have the power to say, "Peace, be still," then the waters of your life will subside at your will. That is a very powerful statement, Christopher Spinks. It's very powerful to say those words. Ernest Holmes wrote, "The mind which we discover within us is the mind that governs everything. This is the thing itself, and we should recognize its simplicity." That was from The Science of Mind, simply put in 658 pages. And I'm being a little facetious about that because it is a very thick book, and it's a daunting book, and it's a book that most people look at and say, "Oh my God, I can't read that whole thing." And then you read it day after day after day through the course of a year, as I've asked everyone to try in this congregation. And then by the end of that year, you've read it. But I can only tell you that every time I pick it up to do it again, I read the same passage, and it's as though someone has rewritten it. But no, someone has not rewritten it. I've rewritten myself. And as I continue to grow myself, things look different to me. So these 4 weeks, these first 4 weeks in January, we are going to do the first 4 chapters of The Science of Mind. The thing itself, the way it works, what it does, and how to use it. And today, we're going to talk about the thing itself, or, as I like to refer to it, love means never having to say anything against myself that isn't true. Love means you having to spend your life never again saying anything about yourself that isn't true. Do you think you can do that? Silence. Well, Doug just said it. Maybe not up till now we haven't been able to do that. Maybe up till now we haven't been taught who we are. Maybe up till now I haven't known so clearly who I am that it wouldn't even occur to me to say something opposite. Like, I am poor. Doesn't that just sound pathetic? I am poor. Or I am weak. Clearly that's not the case. I am sad. No, that's a different thing. That's an emotion. You know what? I can be sad at certain things. Doesn't mean I'm not perfect, does it? And it doesn't mean any of you aren't perfect. So, love means never having to say anything against yourself that isn't true. Now, the thing itself. So I'm here to talk today about the thing itself. Now, the very first Sunday I got to talk about this in my new church back 10 years ago, or 9 years ago, 10 years ago, I talked about the thing itself, and I talked about the Addams family and thing in the Addams family. And I went back and read it. Very clever, James. It was a very clever way for us all to kind of ease into this new philosophy. And I'm not going to talk about that today other than what I just said. Because I have a whole deeper understanding of it. I have an understanding of this thing called God as it relates to me. I think even in the beginning of religious science, when you come into this teaching, you still get stuck with this thing as being outside of yourself, outside of myself. And the entire journey, I believe, is not unlike what Jamie read, that we got it wrong. The entire journey of religious science is the journey to truth from truth, and the understanding that truth has always been who and what I am. And that it is time for me to stop claiming I am anything other than that truth. So the thing itself equals love. Because that really truly is all there is. And truly, as Jamie said, there's no other word that needs to go after it to define it. Because love's a feeling. Love is an energy. Love is an atmosphere. Love is a creative force whose sweep is irresistible, as Ernest Holmes says. Love is what I am. Love is who I am. Love is what I do. Love is where I am. That's all of what love is, which means love sometimes looks sloppy. Have you ever had love looking sloppy? And I didn't mean that how it may have come out. Unless I did. Whatever. Right? So, for me today, it's about, can I really make that paradigm shift? Can I really make that jump to that place where I will never deface myself again. I will never defame myself again. I will never think from a mindset of less than. I will never know from a place of reactionary belief. Can I go there? Because let me tell you, that's where we are going, isn't it? Isn't that where you want to go? Yes. Okay, I'll believe you. All said yes, vibrantly. Yes. Let's try that. Yes! Yes, that's it. Oh my God. So, Ernest Holmes also said, let us approach the science of mind, the science of spiritual psychology, with awe, but not with fear, with truly a humble heart, but not with a sense that we are unworthy. Now, as soon as I hear the word humble, the shackles go in the back of my head, just like pop up. I hear humble, and I'm like, I don't want to be humble. I don't like the idea of humble. And so I did this because I was like, you know what, I'm trying to reevaluate everything. I'm trying to not eliminate anything, to embrace everything and find the good that is in it. And I did. Because you know what? We've been brought to think that humility, if you really look it up and look at all the definitions of humility, most people think that humility means not significant, lowly, less than. That's what it says humble means in the dictionary. But humble also means another word, which is where it comes from in the Latin. Humble means receptive. Humble means that I am grounded. So when he says we must approach the science of mind, this teaching, with truly a humble thought, he means from a grounded, receptive place. I know who I am, and as who I am, I let what needs to come through me come through me. That's a brilliant way to look at it. But not with a sense that we are unworthy. You know, when we study the thing itself, we are actually facing an identity crisis. Most people coming into this science, when we get to the thing itself and we are facing what God is, we immediately come up with an identity crisis because I'm up here telling you, you are God. And some people have a very difficult time with that sentence. You are God. Not you are part of God. Everything about you is God. So there's that identity crisis. And the question is, am I equal when I hear it? When you hear, you are God, I can only imagine your mind goes to, am I equal to my identity as God? So let me just pose that question to you this morning. Are you equal to your identity as God? Two answers. But it's really good. I'm glad there aren't that many answers, because you know what? It's a question that needs to be thought about. It's too easy, and I'm not saying you two are easy. It's too easy to just say yes. But the question is what we need to live. Am I equal to my identity as God? Are you equal to God? Now the answer is yes and no. It really is. If you're going to really answer this honestly, the answer is yes and no. Yes, I am the presence of God. I get that. I mean, I've been in this teaching 20 years. I get that I am the presence of God. And no, I am not acting like I believe it. Because there's the question for you. It's not enough to just say, I am the presence of God, and then not act like it. You have to act like it. And if you act like it, not just act like it because you're trying to fool someone, you need to act like you believe it. You know, when you see actors in a show, there are actors, you see their performance and you don't believe it. They don't believe it. It's not coming from truth. It's coming from I want to perform. And what I'm looking for always as a director, as a writer, is an actor who lives it because they believe it. And so that's what we're looking at. Ernest Holmes talks a lot in the book about us as actors. That we are here to live this, to act this, and not act in a fake way, but to believe it. So the question is, do you act like you believe you are God? If you were brought up on charges for impersonating God, would you be acquitted? Or would you be found guilty? I'd like to be found guilty. So, here's a question. Have you been acting like you not only know you are God, but that you live like you know you're God? And if you live like you know you're God, that means you can never be fearful, because that will so quickly move into truth and into knowing, no matter what goes on in your life. I mean, here's the deal. Jamie already said it. What you are is love. What I am is love. What God is love. Therefore, what we all are is love. And Ernest Holmes said this: to learn how to think is to learn how to live. To learn how to think is to learn how to live. So, as we step into just this day, a new year, a new day, a new week, are we committed to using our minds so constructively that we learn how to live by learning how to think? Are we committed to not allowing anything after I am to deface us? Are we committed to knowing who we are so clearly, so succinctly, that we couldn't possibly say anything to the opposite? That's a commitment you may want to really think about today. Ernest Holmes said this: man by thinking, and this is one of my favorite quotes in the book, man by thinking can bring into his experience whatsoever he desires, if he thinks correctly, and becomes a living embodiment of his thoughts. So, when you hear this thing, change your thinking, change your life. Great slogan. I don't want to stand up here and say anything negative about it except what I'm about to say, which is, it doesn't really work that way. Change your thinking, change your life. No, I can change my thinking for this moment, but if I don't believe it, it's going to go right back to what I used to think. It is about changing your belief. Now, the other question is, and someone said to me just this week, they said, I get it, James. They said, Reverend James. I get it, Reverend James. If I change my belief, my life will change. How am I supposed to, and there are a few expletives in there, change my belief? And then I said, well, do you want to change your belief? Bless you. Do you want to change your belief? What do you want to believe? So my question to you this morning is to ask you all, do you want to believe that right where you sit, God is? Do you want to believe that everything about you is God? That's a question for you to answer. Because even if it may seem challenging for you to believe this at some of the times in your life, the desire to want to believe it is what moves us out of the dark into the light. No, I don't want to know that all of this is the truth of my life. I want to know that beyond all of this, through all of this, regardless of all of this, no matter what it is, I know the truth of who I am. And when things are spectacular and beautiful and magnificent, I want to know that I'm not feeling like this is special, but that this is the truth. So that it's more often the case that this is my life. Wouldn't you want that? I want that. I desire to live that, and I live that as best I can. And when things are challenging, anyone have any challenges going on right now? Okay, so when things are challenging, and I've had some really doozies this week, it was so important for me, in the face of the most dooziest challenge, to stare it in the face and say, there's good in this for me, and this is part of my unfolding, and therefore it's perfect, and I don't care what it is. As Ernest Holmes says, there are no mistakes that have been made. None have ever been made, and none ever will be made. Your life is unfolding perfectly. That doesn't mean that we sit back and just let life take us. Because what does he say? Man by thinking can bring into his experience whatsoever he desires if he thinks correctly and becomes a living embodiment of his truth. The thing itself is what you are. It's what I am. In order to think correctly, we must think from that truth. And then we must embody it and live it. And therefore, allow yourself to desire what you want to desire. In 2013, it is time to be seen. All of your desires, all of your dreams, all that you know you can be, all that you know you already are. It is time to be fearless about letting those show up. And then refuse to know anything about it but the truth. Refuse. That's how strong we have to be. That's how powerful we have to be. It says in Revelations, and let him that is athirst come, and whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. Whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. Sometimes I think we are standing in an ocean thirsting ourselves to death. I think we are, what does Auntie Mame say? Most people are, I won't go there. Yes, I will. Most people are she says a different thing than people. are at a banquet and starving. My God, I'm losing my gay card. Okay, so that's... That was my husband. So the other question I have for you is, and I have a couple for you later. The other question I have for you is, are you available for love? Yes. Okay, who is that in the back that is, of course, it's Juana. Okay, thank you, Juana. You know, it's not a casual question. When I say, are you available, the universe needs to know you're available. And so I said to Jamie this morning, I said, no kvetching, only inspiration. My tribe man. Right? And that's why, and not that Jamie would ever kvetch. It was just, I just felt like saying kvetch. I love that word, kvetch. What'd you say? When I speak Yiddish. Yes, platzen Sie. So, that means sit your butt down. Platzen Sie. I could go, I'm so ready to go on a tangent, I'm not. So, really. So the question is, are you available? You know what? Are you available to what I'm saying today? In a way, oh, now you're getting there. In a way that maybe you haven't been before. Really available. Saying to yourself, I am now available to let myself be who I know I am. Available to this love. Ernest Holmes says this. He says, life reveals itself to whoever is receptive to it. Life reveals itself to whoever is receptive to it. He says, all thought is creative. According to the nature, the impulse, the emotion, or the conviction behind the thought. So it's not just what you think, it's how you think. How do you think? Where are your thoughts coming from? I have had to this week so many times, and Reverend Rita will tell you this, we do this together in the office. We will start something, and perhaps one of us, mostly Rita, will say, and we're not going there. Sometimes it is very important for you to mind your mind so passionately that when something shows up and you know it's not what you want to create. How many of you have those thoughts? And you know I don't want to live the result of that thought. And yet how often do we just think it anyway? Right? Is that Caressa laughing? Okay, Caressa. So the question we have for ourselves today is, are we willing, are we available to know this so clearly that who I am, the thing itself? Ernest Holmes in this first chapter is asking us, are you ready to make a shift with what you think of as God? And shift it right here. Shift it right into the mirror. And understand that's who you are. And if that's who you are, you cannot continue to live the way you live if there are things that you do that are not godly, that don't honor the truth of who you are. He says this is the greatest discovery of all time, that the law of mind can be consciously directed and definitely used. He says the entire problem of limitation, evil, suffering is not God ordained, but is the result of ignorance. It's like the only time I have felt someone calling me ignorant that I wasn't offended. In the book, he says that, and it's like, oh my God, it's just ignorance. I get it. But you know what ignorance means? Not knowing. That's all it means. Impersonally spoken, the ignorance that we suffer from is when we are not willing to know the truth in the face of whatever's going on. You know, J.R.R. Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings, there's a beautiful quote in The Lord of the Rings, and it's this: not all those who wander are lost. How many people here love The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit? Not all those who wander are lost. This understanding of worthiness, bless you, this understanding of worthiness is a very important idea to pick up here today. I don't care where you are in this journey of understanding that right where you are, God is. I don't even care if you feel that you are wandering aimlessly in an abyss of philosophy that you have no idea what it means. It doesn't mean you're lost. What it means is you've allowed yourself to clear the slate, and you're ready to know something else, something more. You're ready to be someone else, ready to be something more. It's too easy to fall back into our comfort zone. When I was a Catholic growing up, when we would celebrate the Eucharist, which symbolically means to take the host of Jesus and to bless our entire soul and our entire being with becoming the Christ consciousness, we would say, "O Lord, I am not worthy to receive you, but only speak the word and I am healed." For years, I just hated that sentence. Why? Because my mind focused on the word "not worthy," as though that's one word. The two words, "not worthy." "O Lord, I am not worthy to receive you, but only say the word and I shall be healed." So anyone in this room who feels not worthy or unready or not perfect enough, what I finally understand about this Catholic saying and that I was brought up with is that the power in this is in the last part of the sentence. But only speak the word and I am healed. That word is not coming from an outside God that judged you. That word is not coming from something outside of you that is trying to heal you. That word is coming from you. All thought is creative. Only speak the word and you shall be healed. When the centurion asked Jesus, and that's where this comes from, when the centurion said to Jesus, "I am unworthy. My home is unworthy for you to come to, but I want my servant healed. I want you to heal my servant, but don't come to my home because I am not worthy." And Jesus looked at him and said, "Your belief has made you whole. Go home, your servant's healed." There's the power of my mind that I want. And in metaphorically speaking, all it means is, perhaps right now my mind is not clear enough. And yet, in this instant, I'm going to decide it is. My word has made me whole. What word is that? It's the I am. It's nothing more, nothing less than the great I am. So, Ernest Holmes says, love means never saying anything against yourself ever again. Love means never saying anything against yourself ever again. So this morning, we get to be healed. We get to be healed by our own words. This morning, we get to leave ourselves alone and be who we already are. You know, on New Year's Eve, I said this, and I asked the congregation to give an understanding, to just let themselves be alone, to let themselves alone. Stop trying to fix yourself. Stop trying to change yourself. Stop trying to become something you already are. Stop trying to be someone who you already are. And I talked about my orchids, that I'd put this plant of orchids, for those of you who weren't there, out in my backyard. And I had been told, just throw them out. They're really not good looking, and they've already died. The orchids are gone. It's not a pretty plant. And I just have a hard time. Do you have a hard time throwing away plants even though they look like they're just not working? Yeah, I don't know how people do that. So, not that I'm judging you. You do that. But, so I just put it out back. And I put it in my garden. And I just put it there. And I kept watering it. And I remember every time I water it, go, please look better. I'm doing my part, do yours, for God's sake. And I just kept watering it. And then, of course, the last few months, we've had all this great rain. And so, just on New Year's Eve day, when I thought I had my talk prepared, I went out into the yard, and I looked over, and I thought, this poor, pathetic little plant. And I started pulling dead leaves, and I went to pull this really big thing and I noticed it was a stalk with like 30 orchids. And I just got all verklempt. I was going to say kavish, but it's not even a word. So, is it? Kavish. No, okay. So, that's my word. So, and these beautiful orchids, and I thought to myself, I have left you alone. I have not listened to what I was told. I have allowed you to do what you do naturally. I have even allowed you to look awful in the process. I have just allowed you to be who you are. You are God's expression in this pot, in this moment, in this yard, in this life. And now you are blessing me with an amazing amount of orchids. And I just got so emotional. I mean, I was screaming to Kevin through the window, and he's like, what is wrong with you? So I shared that on New Year's Eve, and it's really what this is all about. When Ernest Holmes talks to us about the thing itself, I think what he's really asking us to do is, are you ready, are you willing to really let go of your idea of what God is? So that when you look in the mirror, you actually start seeing who God is. So that you let go of this idea that God is something that you are not, but that God is what you are. And Reverend Rita, on her blog this morning, quoted Emerson, which is how I want to close. Emerson said, "Oh man," bless you. Emerson said, "Oh man, there is no planet, sun, or star could hold you if you knew but who you are. Oh man, there is no planet, sun, or star that could hold you if you but knew who you are." Every Sunday we say, right where I am, God is. This year, today, this moment, is the time for you to really see who you are. You are not anything going on in your life. You are that which is going to look at it. You are not any person or relationship that is going on with you. You are that which is going to experience it. There is nothing in you that is wrong. There is no feeling you have, no emotion you have. There is nothing about you that is even remotely not perfect. So this week, I ask you to really take time and do this work. This week, I want you to really pay attention to what your mind's doing. And no matter what it says to you, no matter what it comes up with, I want you to turn around and say, here's the truth. I know who I am. I am God. Can we all say that? I am God. And to the degree that is still challenging, bless that. Be okay with that. And then I just ask you, just tell yourself, I want to believe the truth. And that want will turn into the truth. And you will suddenly one day wake up, as I did about 10 or 12 years ago, and suddenly look in the mirror and realize that what I wanted is what I already had. Always have had it. And now always will have it. And that's what I want for you. That's what I know for you. That's who I know you are. And this is the year we let it be seen. Namaste. Thank you.